Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to another entry here. Typically, I post on Mondays, Wednesdays, or Fridays, but for this one, I wanted to do a simple one-off in what I will call a special midnight movie for this one, or at least one newly, released to Shudder after a short theatrical run with the 2023 film Late Night with the Devil, which stars David Dastmalchian. Now, I'd been wanting to see this one ever since I'd heard about it, before even seeing a trailer, and I'd really wanted to make it out to the theater, but, really wanted to get out there to put my money out there in the theater to see it, but things just didn't really line up with the schedule and everything, so I had to wait for this to release on Shudder, because it also wasn't available to rent on video on demand. But what is this film about? Well, the synopsis is as follows. A live television broadcast in 1977 goes horribly wrong, unleashing evil into the nation's living rooms. Now, I've seen Dastmalchian pop up in several works over the years, and I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed podcasts with interviews with him and everything. Even though I've really enjoyed his work, knowing that he's also a major horror fan made me even more interested in checking this one out. And he is, in this, simply put, great. I mean, he really is amazing. Now, a good chunk of this film, I would say roughly 30 to 45 minutes, is a lot of leading up to the more interesting demonic portions that kind of unfold later on. It is all laid out like a documentary telling about this late night show which Dastmalchian's character is the host of. So we get kind of filled in on the inception of the show, its successes, where its ratings start to stall and then kind of dip a bit, and aspects of his personal life, regarding his wife and these weird nature retreats that he would go on, which are inspired by some supposedly true events. But our main focus here is that they are ringing in Halloween, and they're using Halloween as kind of like a reason to put together this special spooky episode to try to win back some more viewers, try to help their ratings, with guests such as like a mentalist, a skeptic who's there to doubt everything, and our main focus, a little girl who has a demonic spirit inside of her. She's a survivor of a cult who is assisted by a researcher who has been kind of working with her through recovery on this. So, of course, we get a lot of pushback about the mentalist and even this little girl from our skeptic. But there are aspects of their portions of the show which are not really going according to plan, and some unexplainable situations which make it kind of emanate this feel of growing like darker and darker and spookier throughout. And in between these segments of the show, we get what is explained to be like archival backstage footage that was recovered, which kind of help us stitch together an overall story behind the scenes, along with whatever this presentation is going to show us on screen for during the talk show portion of the film. Now, the overall tone of this is a mix of unease and suspense the entire time. Knowing the synopsis, or even just taking in what they kind of introduce you to at the beginning of this setup, we know that something bad is on the horizon, and something demonic and unnerving, and we're kind of waiting to see that come out. And whenever we have this talk show style speak, conversation transitions, or switching to the commercial backstage portion versus the on-air portion, it always feels like something is kind of teasing us along, poking us closer and closer to something crazy happening. We have this welcoming side of the late night host and the darkness on the horizon. We have these little bits of late night humor, and then that skeptical arrogance being thrown in. Now, but I would have to say, like, in general, I feel like it's the performances, which are the final bit which really sold this film for me. Dastmalchian, just in simple line deliveries and facial expressions, conveys so much to really kind of put me in his shoes as far as what he's feeling. And the same with Rhys Terry, and especially between like their interactions with each other. It's just absolutely great. But the character of the little girl, Lily, who's played by Ingrid Torelli, this is where the darkness side really shines, and how darkness can shine. Anyways, she kind of brings in this creep factor to the screen, which really sticks out and is very unnerving the entire time. Just really creepy stuff. So as she's kind of channeling this demonic spirit and letting it out, it really sinks in, and it's really great. Now, as the events kind of around her and this show unfold, I was definitely pulled in completely, eager to see where this would go, and especially where things would wrap up toward the end of this. I felt like I was kind of like staying up late to see this strange situation going down on live TV, which had me just glued to the screen. But by the time everything was done, I have to admit I was partially disappointed that I hadn't made it out to the theater to see it on the big screen in a darkened theater with a bunch of strangers. But in other ways, I was actually kind of happy that I got to see it in the comfort of my own living room with all those lights out. Kind of like I was a viewer of this fictional talk show, kind of watching these events unfold. And these days in horror, I feel like the studios have kind of caught on to the fact that usually for a pretty small investment, for anywhere from 2 to 10 million, they can hopefully just have one decent weekend and make a profit on that investment with horror. So sometimes the market gets kind of flooded with horror films that in many cases just kind of fall flat, or they're just kind of okay. But there are gems out there like Late Night with the Devil, which really stand out as something in the horror genre that's a bit more special in this landscape, which is definitely more than worth checking out. And speaking of checking out, thanks for checking out this quick little midnight movie special here for the video release for Late Night with the Devil, which at the time of this video is available exclusively on Shudder, so it's not even available on video on demand. But if you do not have Shudder, go ahead and Google around. There's often either a free trial or a discounted trial or discounted membership for you to go ahead and hop in there and check it out. Because also, if you are a fan of horror and thrillers, you'll likely enjoy several of the titles that they have to offer. Anything from the old B movies that they have that are really silly to some of the more like elevated horror kind of stuff that's a little bit more cerebral and really kind of messes with you. Anyways, that's about all I have for this little midnight movie special entry for Late Night with the Devil. Thanks for coming by and for sticking around to the end, as it really does help out quite a bit. And if you are new, be sure to check out my back catalogs. If you enjoy this video and some of the others I have, go ahead and subscribe and hit that little bell icon to get notifications for when I put up new videos, which, as I said earlier, is typically 1 to 3 times a week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Occasionally I mix it up a little bit, but we'll see. Anyways, that's all I have for this one. Thanks for coming by, and I will see you in the next one.